All right. It is like 6 o'clock in the morning. My parents are flying out for Christmas. I was supposed to film this yesterday. I failed. The cat is being a menace, but regardless, we are going to talk about the post-war arc. Jumping right into it, it starts with civilians like celebrating the fact that my darling sweet boy Whitebeard, love of my life, has been killed, and along with my darling Ace. And I am resisting the urge to wish death upon people who are constantly raided and abused by pirates and look to the military, marines, and government for protection. So again, resisting the urge to not feel intense rage for people celebrating that Whitebeard is dead. We also have the supernovas where Kid is saying like there's this vacuum of power now with Whitebeard's death. Other pirates are going to go in to take over his territory, and it's just going to be very unstable politically speaking. Not only with the Emperors of the Sea having lost a member, and now the warlords down 3, and the government as a whole, everything is just very unstable. So the waters and seas, and we're into a very chaotic era now. Government's going to agree with that, but we also have other pirates who are rejoicing and renewed in their adventures just because of Whitebeard, the symbol that he was, and the ending of this age of era, declaring with all his heart and soul that the One Piece is real. And that's going to usher in, the same way Rodger ushered in an age of era of people looking for that One Piece, it's going to encourage others to do the same once again. So Whitebeard saying One Piece is real, and that there's going to be a war to find it, or when it's found, to overthrow everything, and this is going to be the government's downfall. I can only imagine he's trying to rile everyone up to rise up against the government, but we will see going forward. Hancock, my darling love, is easily able to find the submarine that Luffy's on with Law. I'm really liking Hancock. There were so many moments in this arc that were just so sweet. Like, Luffy gives her a hug. Are we married? Says he'll miss her or something. That might be in the next arc, but regardless, like, are we engaged? Will you marry me? Is he going to marry me? Luffy's like, no, I'm not going to marry. She's very sweet. I just hope it doesn't get overplayed. We'll find out what happens with her character. But she goes on to the submarine, has turned all the Marines with her to stone because obviously she's on Luffy's side. And I absolutely love the Beepo, the bear on in Law's group. He is A, adorable, and B, he looks so like, sad's the wrong word, but like he's just hanging back, head down, like don't be mad at me. Try not to make anyone angry, and very sweet. I'm not completely invested in his group yet, but I got a feeling when Oda decides to either make me love them or hate them, if they betray Luffy, I'm going to be pissed. But whatever Oda decides to do with them, and whatever emotions Oda wants me to feel, I'm going to feel them, I'm sure. I've learned that with the Whitebeard pirates, because he made me love them with like a single panel. So, looking forward to that moment. Again, Boa being so adorable and just in love with Luffy, as when she learns like how emotionally traumatized that he was. She's like, "Can I would take his place if I could." And again, I really, really like Boa right now. I just don't want her obsession and love with Luffy to take over her character. I want a good balance of the narcissist, I'm the strongest, therefore I can do what I want, but hey, I also love this guy, so I'll protect him as well. I think we just need I'm hoping a little bit more for her character. Don't tell me. We'll see what happens going forward. And then we get some more information on what happened just before and just after the war. So before the war, when Blackbeard was at Impel Down, he was in level 6, and each of the cages, like, he had them like all fight to the death, and only took, I think, the top like 4 survivors to be on his crew. And the jailer guy, the warden, he was beaten within an inch of his life, and that man does not deserve that. There was nothing wrong with him. He's a good man. I'm hoping the vice warden or the second in command guy's alright. We also get, give me a second. I need to learn how to say Doflamingo or Doflamingo. 1 second. Alright, looks like it's Do, not Do. Doflamingo. Doflamingo. Maybe. He is fighting Moria, but fighting is the wrong word. He is killing this zombie man. And yeah, by order of someone higher up in the government, I guess. And this is just because he's too weak to be a warlord, despite the fact that later on the government is very upset that they're losing warlords, so the position itself doesn't have the same impact or draw. Like, they're not going to be taken as seriously. So we've lost Jinbe and Blackbeard and now Moria. So I can't really think that they were really the ones who gave the order for that. So he might be acting on other impulses, because he does say, like, hey, I can do what I want. I can leave the seven warlords at any time that I so choose. The government's going to say that Moria died during the war, just to cover it up. And then we cut to Luffy waking up on the submarine, screaming in pain and anguish. And he busts out and he's running throughout the island because Hancock had given Law permission to dock there, and the island of women in the Amazons just an exception to that rule. And Luffy is again screaming. Law is saying that if he opens up his wounds, he's going to bleed to death. And Jinbei's gone after him to kind of calm him down, but Luffy is hysterical, rightfully so. He witnessed his brother die before him. He's got so much guilt for not being able to save him. He's probably going to be seeing the blood of his brother's blood on his hands for so long. And he worked so hard, and it was just all for nothing. There was nothing he could have done. He is hurting himself, like trying to wake himself up from a dream. And eventually Jinbei gets to him and confirms to Luffy that no, this isn't a dream. Ace is dead. And the scream that Luffy has, like, oh my god. The past few arcs have just been failure after failure after failure. Uh, Failed to save the crew on Bubble Island when Kuma attacked and separated everybody. The failure to rescue Ace from Impel Down. And then, like, you got the rule of threes. You have two failures, you succeed on the third attempt. But we just get his failure to save Ace. So again and again and again, Luffy is just not strong enough to protect the ones he loved. And that hurts so much. And to see Luffy realize this, like what he's up against, the powers of this world. He is not a protagonist who, right out of the gate, can succeed, can overcome these drastically more powerful opponents just by sheer will alone. At this stage, anyway. We then get a flashback to Ace and Luffy's childhood, and I needed this. I needed... lighthearted is the wrong word, but I needed more of their backstory. I needed more of their relationship. I needed something that was not just Luffy screaming in anguish. However, that being said, I was traumatized from Ace's death for two reasons. One, the impact it had on Luffy, obviously that being the main one, but also two, Oda had put in the setup for the relationship with him and Whitebeard's characters, and I absolutely adore and love the Whitebeard crew, so seeing them lose Ace, losing their brother, was also like just a knife to the heart. So now, getting the flashbacks and Luffy and Ace's history to make me love Ace as a character in his own right is just Oda twisting the knife. So I feel like he is purposely trying to hurt me in this arc. There is also the fact that past Jessica reading this for the first time probably didn't appreciate the flashbacks as much as future Jessica will when I reread this arc, just because my sweet boy, darling boy, Monkey D. Luffy is in so much pain, and I just need someone to give him a hug and calm him down and talk him through this and let him experience his grief. And I kind of want to stay with him there, so I will appreciate the flashbacks in the future. But the first read through, it did kind of feel like it was keeping me away from the part I was invested in. But then when I got to the part I was invested in Luffy and his grief, I could appreciate his grief so much more. So it's a good inclusion. It just really a big tonal shift. So we get a flashback to GARP dropping Luffy off at this kind of foster home, run by a girl or bandit named Dadan. Dadan? I will look up how to pronounce their name soon. But Ace is already there, having been raised by her since childhood as GARP. Okay, first of all, okay, I'll get into my GARP understandings later, but in what world did GARP think that these two boys would grow up to be good, strong Navy men if he dropped them off and had them raised by bandits in the middle of nowhere where there is no law and no help, no real government body agent, police, no medical doctors? Like, you're fending for yourself in the wild. Why the hell would they grow up to respect the law and want to be good Navy men? That was not good planning on his part. So, anywho, Luffy is taken there, and Ace is immediately just annoyed with this little kid. I think he's 3 years older than him. He wants nothing to do with him. He spits on him the first time he sees him. And Luffy's at first very angry, but eventually is like, hey, I forgive you for spitting at me, let's be friends. And again, Ace wants nothing to do with this little kid, so he's gone off on his own up into the woods. Luffy's trying to follow him, but Ace purposefully leads him into very dangerous situations, and Luffy can't follow him all the way. Until one day he does. He tracks him down, and he's up on Trash Mountain, which is just a place where the rich people, looks like, dispose of their garbage, and a lot of homeless people live and get their living and livelihood from this area. And Ace, along with another boy, Sabo, we'll stick with Sabo, are they're getting treasure, they're stealing from people, they want to be pirates in the future. And when Luffy shows up, Ace is pissed. The two of them discuss killing Luffy because to keep their location of their treasure secret, except the group of pirates that they had just stole some money from is drawn to Luffy screaming. So Sabo and Ace run away, and Luffy gets captured by these pirates. And Ace and Sabo then spend the time taking their treasure to a new location because they're convinced that Luffy is going to rat them out. And Luffy, my sweet, darling little boy Luffy, who is just a child, kidnapped by these pirates who have no hesitation in killing women and children, is then beaten with spiky objects when they learn that blunt force trauma doesn't work on rubber men and rubber children. And these pirates are trying to get him to tell them the location of the money and the treasure that Sabo and Ace have collected, and Luffy refuses to tell them. And then at the end of the day, after Ace and Sabo have transferred all their treasure somewhere else, they're waiting to see if the pirates come up, and then realize that Luffy never gave them up. He never betrayed them. He kept his mouth shut to the point where he can't even talk anymore because he's been beaten too badly. And just when said pirates are about to kill him, Sabo and Ace thankfully come in to save him. And Oda, deciding to twist the knife and just be unnecessarily cruel to my poor sweet soul, Sabo takes Luffy to run, but Ace stays behind and wants to keep fighting these big pirates. What is he, 10? I think he's 10. Fighting grown men and pirates. And he might be a little younger than 10, actually. It doesn't matter. Sabo, seeing this, telling him run, Ace says, I'm not running. So Sabo has to go back and help fight Ace, and then after succeeding, running away. And Sabo calls Ace out on having like a death wish. Like, why wouldn't you run when you're fighting someone so much stronger than you? And Ace is, again, just reiterating that he's not going to be someone who runs away. My poor sweet boy Ace. Sidestepping his obvious death wish right there, Ace asks Luffy, like, why didn't you just give us up? Why didn't you tell them what they wanted to know? And my poor sweet boy Luffy, who is still crying, is just like, if I had told them, then I couldn't be your friend anymore, and I would rather be dead than alone again. And Ace, my poor sweet boy, who has been traumatized and feels he's not good enough and shouldn't even be alive and questioning his existence because of his parentage and apparently tainted blood in his eyes. Whoever put those thoughts in his head, I'm fine with him beating them up. Realizes, hey, Luffy, you want me around? You care that I'm alive? You want me to be alive? You need me? And Luffy's like, yes, I do. So that's it. Luffy is now the most important person in the world to Ace, probably, because he acknowledges his existence and wants him to be alive, giving him a reason for living. God love this poor boy, but he needs some more self-confidence and esteem, but I'm fine with him loving Luffy. So we go on from there. The three of them become brothers eventually after some more bonding experiences, and I might as well talk about Sabo here. I trust Oda. I trust Oda completely, and I expect him to develop that character more, and he does have a purpose in this arc in terms of both Luffy and Ace's motivations and how they live their lives in the pursuit of freedom at any cost, and not wanting to sacrifice their personal freedom or have a life with regret. So I understand his inclusion, but right now his inclusion feels very jarring just because we had Ace and Luffy brothers, and then Luffy had even said, like, Ace is my only brother at one point in time. So, oh no, by the way, there's three of them. I trust Oda. We're going to see where the story goes from here. I'm also loving the fact that despite Luffy being the one with the devil fruit power, he is the weakest of the three. Granted, like I said, 3 years younger. But it seems like the Gum Gum fruit is really a hindrance to him. It's not very powerful, and it's not until he works at it and shows his creativity that he becomes stronger. So right now, he is just getting beat up by Ace all the time, or Sabo, and seeing him being an actual little crybaby, I'd be a bawling mess in this world. So him being a crybaby is, in reference to everyone else around him, is actually really, really sweet, because you see him having to be taken care of by Ace and Sabo and being looked after and following them around all the time, but that contrasting that to him being so confident and standing out and protecting others, it's nice to see that growth that he's had as a character. Eventually, they go to the main kingdom where all the aristocrats are living, and we learn that Sabo was actually from an aristocratic family, but he ran away because of pressure in society and them wanting him to be someone he's not, and just abusive, narcissistic, controlling parents who only cares about image and family name. So he ran away, but he gets spotted, and then eventually his father sends the pirates after him and shows up and threatened to beat up or kill Luffy and Ace if Sabo doesn't go with them. And it kind of plays out as I expected, with Sabo being taken away, and it didn't go completely as I expected, though. So at one point, they were at the police station, and his father was saying, like, I need you to say that you were kidnapped by Luffy and Ace, so we can, like, expunge all your involvement. You won't get in trouble for all the crimes you committed, because that'll look bad in the family. And Sabo's just like, no, absolutely not. I have agreed to all your conditions. I've come home. I will not see them again, but I will not blame my friends. I will not blame my brothers. And he gets hit on the head, and the dad has to bribe the policeman to get him off the hook. We then meet Sabo's replacement, as his parents had adopted another child in case, like, Sabo fails him. And we also get, like, his parents being like, we brought you into this world, so you should be happy to do what we say and respect us, and just the typical controlling, horrible parents. Oda and Kelsier must have went to the same school of hating nobles, because these people are absolutely the most terrible people you would ever seen. Like, there's no redeeming qualities with these characters. His adopted brother reveals that the noble people are planning to burn down Trash Mountain and that area just because it's ugly looking, basically. And the Celestial Dragons is coming, so they don't want him to see that. So they're just going to burn it down with all the trash in it. And Sabo's just like, well, what about the people who live there and get their livelihood from that area? You can't just, like, take that away from them. And Replacement Child is just like, no, they're going to burn down all the trash. All of it. Meaning the people inside it who live there. And Sabo's just like, no, they can't do that. And he runs off, learns that it's the truth, and then there's no way that these people can know it's a thing. It must be a secret. But no, everyone knows. They know this is going to happen. They're doing nothing to stop it. One father tells his daughter at one point, like, the daughter's just looking out, and it's like, why are they burning Trash Mountain? It's like, oh, it doesn't really matter. If they were smart, then those commoners down there would have been born into the aristocrat families. and it's their own fault for being born into poverty. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Are you kidding me? That so easy to hate these people. So easy. At one point, Sabo even runs into Dragon, of all people. Was not expecting that. And he reveals what's going on and what they're planning and how much he hates these noble people and he just wants to get away from this country. And Dragon empathizes with his statement, saying he was also born here and he doesn't yet have the power to change it, but hopefully he will in the future. So I can see something going on, probably, with them. And we also have Iva showing up. So this is back when they were working with Dragon. And later on, you get Dragon, Iva, and Kuma on the boat. So that just confirms 100% Kuma, part of the revolution with Dragon. I feel that was pretty obvious at this point. But it was nice to have official 100% confirmation with that. Luffy and Ace are, of course, very upset when Sabo had been taken away, but the pirate who took them and had beaten them earlier is convinced them that, hey, it's for the best. He's going to be living a rich life. He doesn't need you guys anymore. Just let him be. It'll be better for him. If I had the choice, I would be an aristocrat, so why would you take him from that? So Ace is basically like, let's just forget about Sabo for now. He's better off without us, more or less, I guess. You can correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't feel that's 100% what happened, and I might have to reread that chapter. But anywho, they start working with the pirates, who has them deliver some boxes to key locations, not knowing it's like oil or gasoline or something that's going to be used to ignite the fire, because the pirates have been hired by the, I guess it's the kingdom, so I guess the king or something like that. They call him His Majesty. I don't care, but the nobles, I want to see them all burned, so it's fine. And the pirates set the fire that night, and when Luffy and Ace realize what they were planning, they had all been tied up in this, like, shed thing, and the fire's going, and the pirates have been told that they would be getting a aristocratic, like, they'd be brought up into nobility if they did this, only to be betrayed, shocker, by the king, and are left to burn with everyone in Trash Mountain. Luffy and Ace escape. They're running through. Ace is trying to protect Luffy. They run into the pirates, and the pirates are like, hey, despite the fact that we're all just going to burn, I still want your treasure, so give us that. Luffy's like, no, that's Ace's and Sabo's treasure. You're not having it. But Ace is just like, take it. I'll give it to you. It's fine. But Luffy's just like, no, why would you do this? Ace just says, it's not worth your life. It's not worth our lives. So, very specifically, at first he says it's not worth putting you, Luffy, at risk before adding ours. So, two interpretations. One being he holds Luffy's life at far more important value than that treasure, obviously. But then he adds ours. So, maybe he's either covering up the fact that he doesn't want to appear weak and sensitive by wanting to protect Luffy, but also possibly that he's starting to put some value on his own life. Luffy has given his life meaning. My poor sweet boy. Pirates don't trust that he told them the correct location, so they're bringing him along. At one point, Luffy tries to escape or something, and they go to kill Luffy. And Ace, at a mere 10 years old, screams when his baby brother is put in danger, unleashes the Haki. I assume the Conqueror's Haki, I'm pretty sure. Yes, it gotta be. Knocks everybody out. My sweet boy got a lot of power, and it knocks out everyone except the head head pirate who goes for the attack, but out of the flames, we get Dadan, foster parent, who, despite being very abusive in the same kind of relationship as GARP had with them, and I was hesitant on her for a while, she comes to the rescue, saves Luffy. Her band of bandits take Luffy away, but Ace again refuses to run. And instead of, like, dragging him out of there, she's like, fine, I will fight with you. And the two stay behind to take on this pirate. Luffy, later on, is screaming in anguish, like, where is Ace? Where is Dadan? And the other bandits are just like, you need to rest, you can't go after them, I'm sure they're fine. Eventually they do come back. Foster mother is very much burnt and in pain and hurt. Ace is carrying her in, said I stole some medicine, she should be fine, she just needs some rest. We hid in the, like, river ravine thing to avoid the flames. Side note, I forgot to mention, Dragon had come back, and that's with Kuma and Iva, to rescue a good chunk of the people who lived in Trash Mountain. So he got them to safety, at least a good chunk of them. Foster mom had asked Ace, like, why couldn't you just run? And Oda continues to just twist that knife in my heart when Ace says that if I run, I feel like I'll be losing something or leaving something important of me behind. And I couldn't run this time because Luffy was behind me. And that panel of my sweet monkey D. Luffy as a little boy, like cowering, curled up in a little ball, scared and in pain, afraid, and Ace standing between him and the pirates and the flames around him, and just like, I need to protect my little brother. Oh my god. Luffy was behind me. I could not run. Foster mom reflects back on GARP telling her that Rodger also wouldn't run from a fight, and when she said that was stupid because tactical retreats are a good battle strategy and important to, survival, he had just said it wasn't really so much of his pride, it was more so that he loved the people standing behind him, and if he ran, he would put his friends at risk, so he couldn't do that. And while I love the parallel between Rodger and Ace in that moment, I also dislike it because it kind of doesn't work for my Rodger being the absolute big bad at the end of the series theory, unless I make it that Rodger is still alive somehow, in a different body most likely, and he disbanded his crew because whatever he was planning would put them in danger, so he purposely separated and broke up his crew before he enacted his plan because he loved them, and he knew this was a dark thing that he had to do and really bad, but maybe it was to protect them or whatever he's after isn't worth risking the lives of his crew or his crew seeing him become a darker version of what he is in the past. I'm going to make it so whatever theories I have, Rodger is the big bad, because again, I just want that. After Sabo had witnessed how cruel the people around him in this noble area were, he's like, I can't live here, I can't let it change me, I need to get out of here, I need to be free. And he just sets off on a fishing boat. Like, the people, when the fire was going on, in response to people looking out their windows and seeing people's homes and livelihood and lives being taken away and burned through their people's actions, their response was, it's awful bright at night, close the curtains. Like, come, the anger, the audacity, why? Terrible people. So Sabo is just like, get me a fishing boat, I'm leaving, I'm sailing off early. So he gets a fishing boat and he's off and he's sailing away, just as the Celestial Dragon is coming in on his big giant ship. And as Sabo is looking up at it in awe, the Celestial Dragon shoots him and burns his boat for the crime of being a commoner crossing his path. Celestial Dragons, seriously, they're just the worst. And I don't feel that Sabo is dead. I did not get in that vibe. No body, no death. That's always been my go-to, and I can't see Oda introducing this character just to kill him off like that. I can't see Oda doing it. I also feel like I want to say I've seen some cosplays and stuff on TikTok. That's complete transparency here. So unless it was grown-up version of him idealizing, then I'm going with he's alive. Cutting back to Luffy and Ace, the joy that Luffy has that Ace being safe is undercut by the news of Sabo's death. And Ace goes on, like, wants to go on a warpath and just fight everybody who is responsible for this, so he has to get tied to a tree. And Luffy, the sweet baby boy, Monkey D. Luffy, just a little crybaby right now, is a sobbing mess. Eventually they get a letter from Sabo, and it's just, I can't be here anymore, not to these people, I can't lose who I am, so I'm going to set sail, I'm going to go in search of freedom, and Ace, I need you to make sure you're watching and taking care of our little brother. And that is, Sabo's death is pretty much the inciting incident for Luffy and Ace's ultimate goal of I need freedom. I'm going to go after and search for the ultimate freedom because Sabo never got that. And I'm not going to live a regret. Ace regrets not going after Sabo, believing that he would be have a better life without them, and he's not going to compromise what he wants anymore. He is willing to become a pirate, search for freedom, do what he wants to do, make the world his enemy, make enemies, including GARP. He chose this life. And I'm not blaming him for his death. I'm not going to do it because he was a good boy. But seeing his decisions as a child leading to the events as an adult is still, it doesn't make it any easier. Luffy continues to cry and sob and makes Ace promise him that he'll never die, and Ace agrees because he can't die. He has his little brother, his little crybaby brother to protect. And Luffy vows to get stronger and stronger so he never has to lose anyone again. And they continue to fight and train, and they make a deal on their 17th birthday that they're going to sail away because on their 18th birthday, that's when nobles become adults. So they're going to leave this town and island and kingdom before they reach 18. So at 17, Ace sets sail. Everyone is heartbroken that he's leaving, but they're very proud of him, and off he goes. And foster mom is just like, oh, Garp's going to be so upset. Can't believe he's always been such a troublemaker. God, I hate this boy. Why did I get stuck raising him? More or less the vibes. And then one of her bandit crew is just like, he wanted to tell you to say, like, message thank you for being there and raising him. And then she breaks it and sobbing like, I love this boy. And the same thing happens 3 years later when Luffy's going. He's trained, he's so much stronger, he's the Monkey D. Luffy that we met at the beginning of this story, no longer crybaby, standing on his own 2 feet. He has perfected his weak little gum powers. With his creativity and perseverance, he made a good strength of it, and now he's setting sail. And he says, you know, I really hate bandits, after the bandit who attacked him and Shanks had to come save him. And she's like, yeah, well, I don't like you either. And he's like, I really like you, though. And she's like, oh, my boy. And she loves him. And he sets sail on his adventure, screaming that he's going to be, and declaring that he's going to be the Pirate King and search freedom, especially in, like, Sabo's memory, and live his best life. He's so excited and optimistic. Crash cut to present-day Luffy, screaming, I'm too weak. He is questioning whether he has the strength and possibility to be the Pirate King. He's too weak at this moment. He realizes it, and that just hurt me. I'm going to include this as a note for future Jessica. There's also a scene with Zoro and his friend training, and a dragon ship in the background, and it says, like, also the day that Trash Island burned, I think it says. And it looks like Dragon also there, like, picking up or dropping off either one, the people he saved. So either they're joining the revolution or he's dropping them off, something like that. And there's some talk about a man with a big face. Not quite sure why Zoro and his friends' inclusion was in this arc for a second, and it's Oda, so I assume it's intentional. So future Jessica will figure out what that's about. We then cut to probably my favorite moment of this arc, and that's going to be GARP returning to Luffy's home village, and Dadan just laying into him, bat, stick, whatever, right across the face. She is beating him very severely, and then his Navy officers, people with him, are about to interfere, and he's just like, no, it's all right. She's an old acquaintance. Everything's fine. And she's like, how dare you? You were there. How could you not step in? How could you not protect your grandsons? And Mako, our lady, it steps in and is just like, Dadan, you have to stop. Can't you see Garp is also grieving? He lost his grandson and he's hurting more than anyone. And she's like, no, he's not. He's not hurting more than Luffy. You know how much Luffy idolized his brother, and you let them die. And Garp reveals that Luffy is still alive, and Dadan declares in front of everyone that no matter what kind of man Luffy becomes, no matter what he does in the future, she will stand by him And I can't go into any detail of that scene because it is wonderful, and I love just seeing Gert getting hit and called out. But I guess I should acknowledge a couple things. First off, this is not an apology. I stand by everything I said in Marineford, and everyone who is on my hit list remains on my hit list. But I will acknowledge that, at the risk of quoting who I believe will become a serial killer, because Doflamingo, him stating, like, those who have never known peace and those who have never known war, like, can't see eye to eye, and justice written by the winners and all that. I will acknowledge we are following the points of view of pirates, the bad guys, Monkey D. Luffy, as sweet and lovable and surge of freedom and all the goodness in the world that he is. He is a pirate, and in this world, there are pirates who attack civilians, raid villages, are only after plunder, kill all the time, and it is the government's job to stop them and protect them. So from our viewer viewpoint, we see the good, fun-loving pursuit of freedom and happiness and friendship and adventure. But there is that darker side, and GARP has been fighting pirates and trying to keep the peace and live a just life, which is the right, good decision. So him not wanting to betray his own chosen family or found family in the military, with, I think someone told me Sengoku and him are good friends, and him being a old war hero who went up against the biggest, baddest pirates during all these past wars and looked upon by the civilians as this hero, and he doesn't want to betray them. So he was really caught in the middle between his family and everything that he has with the Navy and the people of the world and how much they look up to him. Sure, yes, I understand that. I recognize that. He was in a very tough place. It makes him a very interesting character. And the fact Oda can write two separate points of view between military and civilians versus pirates, and have them both their ideologies be understood in the sense of, we need to execute Ace and kill Whitebeard, and we need to save Ace and fight with Whitebeard because he's wonderful and the best dad in the world and I love him so very much, and have them conflict and their ideologies being understandable and only one can win. I understand that. It's good writing. I still hate everything with that military for how they hurt my sweet, sweet baby boys. I am blinded by my perspective that I am seeing this world through. I understand that. I recognize that. So you are correct in saying that, hey, GARP's character and the military, not that cut and dry. You are correct, comment section. I understand. I just don't care. So GARP gets beat up, as he should, but we see the civilians had been very scared at this time, and he's trying to comfort them, like, the season will be a little chaotic, but trust that the Navy will take everything under control. We have Shanks at the memorial in the New World of Ace and Whitebeard, and it's a beautiful, large memorial honoring him. And then he's saying, like, Luffy, I need you to get through this. It's okay to cry. Like, wherever you are, just get through this. And we get we get Luffy and Jinbe, and Jinbe's trying to comfort him. Is like, you're in your grief right now. You've lost your strength. You're questioning your own abilities. You're questioning whether or not you can continue to overcome all these powerful enemies that you've been up in the past now and who's in your future. Your eyes are blocked to grief and you can't see a way forward, but you have to. You have to find that strength to continue to push through. Don't focus on what you've lost. Look at what you still have. And Luffy's like, I still have my crew. I still have that family. And he just wants to see them. He just wants to see his crew. So we said we were going to meet at Sabo Bubble Island in 3 days. I just want to get there. But before they can take off to go, the Dark King himself shows up, Rayleigh. He shows up on the island after swimming from possibly another sea, for all I know, because there's no storms in the Calm Belt. So he came from a faraway place, swims up to the island, just being like, yo, where's Luffy? And we learn that his wife used to be a warrior on this island, and they're all happy to see Rayleigh, so no big deal about him showing up, and he's got a plan for Luffy. And Luffy agrees to this as the best thing to do for his pursuit to continue on to become the Pirate King in the New World and how to move forward. They go back to Marineford and like circle the island, ring a bell, and he's sending a message to his crew. And I absolutely love when we see the crew, they're reading like in the newspaper about Ace's death, and their immediate response is, peace out, everybody that's around me right now. I need to go to my captain. He needs me right now. They think back on how much Luffy means to them, how much they love him the first time they met, joining the crew. And it's like, my captain needs me, I'm gone. I'm only going to talk about the moments that I really, really, really love. So starting with Nami, I absolutely love this. She's like, stealing your information, stealing your weather balloon. I'm gone. Don't care. I'm betraying you. I'm going to kidnap this buddy to get me off the Sky Island back to the sea. And Robin being like, yeah, revolutionaries, thanks for getting me out of slavery. But I got a crew. I'm going to go to my captain now. Peace out. Bye. Zoro, who is just in Mihawk's castle. Him and Peronia, Ghost Girl, that's where they've been. Mihawk, just chilling. Like, why? He's like, you guys crashed my castle. Why are you here? That's a thing. He's fighting these monkeys, and I love the monkeys' history about how if they had been in like a peaceful village, then they would also be peaceful, but this island was known only war. So they're like fighting all the time, and that's just great. It's like, I need to get off this island. I need to get to my captain. Same thing, all the Straw Hats. I need to get to my captain. But when they see the message in the newspaper, they realized that Luffy had done this in order to get the message to them. So he had written on his arm 3D 2Y, and the 3D was crossed out, meaning we're not going to meet up in 3 days, we're going to meet up in 2 years at the same place in order to first train ourselves to get stronger so we are ready for this new world. So Nami, after just kidnapping a man, goes back and be like, change my mind, I'm back, sorry about that. And they're like, you stole from us, you kidnapped one of our men, like, why, how dare you? And she starts crying, like, don't be so mean to me. It's like, oh, we're sorry we made you cry. It's like, I forgive you for making me cry. Now teach me everything you know. And Zoro goes to Mihawk, my darling loves. And it's just like, I want you to train me. And Mihawk is like, you couldn't even defeat the monkeys to get off this island, and you expect me to train you? I'm so disappointed in you, Roronoa Zoro. And he's just like, I defeated the monkeys, but I know I'm not a match for you, so train me. Well, why should I train you? So I can get stronger than you. You want me to train you so you can eventually take my head. He laughs, and it's just like, all right, I will train you. My sweet baby boy is going to be trained by my sweet darling love, and I love that. I love that so very much. And Robin is off, goes back to the revolutionaries, like, all right, I'm ready to go meet Dragon. Let's go. So she's gone off to the new world. And you have Usopp training on this monster island to get stronger and getting new technology for his sniper skills. He's going to become the true Sniper King. Not to confuse him with the Sniper King that we have met earlier. Then you have Chopper, Chopper is going to become an even better doctor, and Frankie's going to do some upgrades and get even stronger. And we have Brooke, who's becoming a musician and is going to be even stronger. And it's just all wonderful seeing the Straw Hats and how they're going to grow and be ready for the new world. You have Kid in the new world right now causing mayhem and executing people, like crucifying them. La, I owe this man my life right now. Being like, I'm not quite ready to go back to the new world. I got some other plans we gotta do. And his crew just loving and respecting him. And I can only imagine that means that he's a good guy. Don't make Law betray me. He saved my sweet boy. We learned in the military that Garp and Sengoku have both retired. I think, sort of retired. I think Garp's still there on paper to train some new recruits. Akiji, Ice Guy, is on the list for taking over as Fleet Admiral. We learn that Blackbeard's still causing mayhem and kidnap Bonnie. And she has to get sort of rescued by Magma Bastard. and there's something going on there because she was on the run, and there's just a lot of little setups where there's also more characters, little clips and moments that future Jessica is going to appreciate, but current Jessica is just like, all right, this is something that we're going to see in the future and play off in the future. Before I forget, there was Hawkins, who with the guy with the tarot cards, who I'm happy is alive and wasn't killed a few arcs back. I do really like his character design. I want to see more from him. There's the guy Drake, who is I was not wrong. There was a T-Rex back on Bubble Island. He can transform into a T-Rex, so that's wonderful. And I'm just overall really, really, really excited for where this is going to go. And I have already read the Return to the Bubble Island place, so I'm very, very excited to see where this goes, and Fishman Island. And just as a reminder, I do have a little community post up where you can put spoiler questions for Fishman Island or any part of One Piece, up to Fishman Island, obviously. And after I read that arc, I will read through that to help focus the reviews a little bit. All right, that is all I have. Absolutely loving this series. I will talk to you later.